She's just the jealous one in hand-me-downs, my sister giggled, twirling in her glittering white gown. My dress, stitched by my own hands, felt like paper beside hers. Guests turned, laughed. And my father? He clapped her on the back. Don't mind her, sweetheart. Some people just don't shine. But that wasn't the part that broke me. It was my mother's whisper as I walked past. Soft. Precise. She's not even our real daughter anyway. Hi everyone. My name is Mireya. And I need you to sit with this question for a second. What do you do when the people who raised you choose glitter over blood? That day, my sister's wedding day, was supposed to be her moment. And it was. Just not for the reasons they imagined. I didn't flinch when they laughed. I didn't cry when they said I wasn't the real one. I smiled. Because everything they stood on that day, the walls, the lights, the staff, the marble floors they bragged about, it was all mine. They just didn't know it yet. The night before the wedding, I walked through the venue alone. No staff. Just silence. I ran my hand along the edge of the bridal table. I knew exactly where the fuse box was. Where the wireless routers hid. Where the key codes were printed and tucked beneath reception. You see, while they planned her big day, I planned my silence. When they sent me the invite 3 weeks ago, it didn't even have my full name. Just, if she shows up, give her a side chair. And when I RSVP'd, no one noticed I wrote the company name instead of mine. They'd booked their dream venue through a brand they didn't even Google. A brand I created 5 years ago, after walking out of that same house with 2 shirts and a broken heart. So yes, I wore a hand-me-down dress. But it came with something they'd never understand. Power. And when the music blasted and the dance floor opened, I waited. Until the exact minute she kissed her groom. Then I walked out back. Hand on the switch. Breath steady. Because some lights don't go out. They just wait for the right time to cut everyone else's. The room went black. Mid-kiss. Mid-toast. Mid-performance by the overpriced saxophonist they flaunted on Instagram. Screams first. Then gasps. Then silence. I stood in the hallway backlit by the exit sign, watching my family fumble in the dark. Like roaches when the lights come on. The bride, my sister Camilla, shrieked, "Who cut the lights?" Someone dropped a champagne flute. And my mother's voice cut through the dark like a knife. "Call the manager. This is unacceptable." Funny thing is, she was already screaming at me. They didn't know it, of course. Because in their world I didn't exist unless I was cleaning something. I turned my phone slightly. The live camera feed showed it all. Every face, every panicked glance, every guest fumbling for their phone light. The system I'd installed had night vision. Crystal clear. I stepped into the back room, opened the maintenance laptop, and watched their credit alerts flood in. Declined. 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 Earlier that morning I called each bank. Presented ownership documents. Flagged their cards for suspicious wedding spending. They froze everything instantly. My parents had been living off a shared business account I quietly took over last year. They just thought the signature update email was routine. No. They couldn't pay for the backup generator. Or the caterer. Or the driver waiting to take them to the hotel. And the venue? Well, let's just say my manager was off-site tonight. And the only person with override clearance was me. Camilla finally found me near the back corridor. Her phone light trembling. What the hell is going on? Her voice cracked. She looked like a ghost in a glittery dress. I tilted my head. "You tell me, bride." She blinked. "What are you doing here?" I stepped closer. "Just the jealous one in hand-me-downs. Remember?" She stared at me. Really stared. For the first time in years she looked past her reflection. I saw it hit her. That I wasn't supposed to disappear quietly. That maybe I had never really left. That maybe I had just learned to wait. The music was gone. The lights dead. The celebration paused in midair. And in that darkness, for the first time ever, she looked afraid of me. She reached out, fingers trembling like she was touching a ghost. "Mireya, what are you doing?" I didn't move. Didn't flinch. I just let the silence wrap around us, thick and humming like justice. "You ruined my wedding," she hissed, dropping her hand. Her voice cracked like porcelain. "Is this payback for not giving you my old prom dress?" I laughed, a quiet, bitter sound. "You think this is about fabric?" Her lips parted, but I stepped past her. Out into the reception hall. Phones lit the room now, small flickering stars of panic. Guests whispered, "Is this a prank?" The saxophonist was gone. The caterers? Sitting on crates waiting to be paid. My father stomped toward me, flashlight in hand. "What did you do?" He looked like he wanted to shake me, like he still thought he had that right. I met his eyes. "The power's out, Dad. Call the venue owner." He snorted. "I already did. No one's answering." "Really?" I said softly. "Strange. I thought you paid good money for this place." He froze. I saw the recognition crawl up his spine. I walked to the stage, the one they'd insisted wasn't for extra guests, and climbed up slowly. The guests turned. The air shifted. I tapped the mic. Nothing. No sound. Just me and a room full of people I'd once prayed would notice me. So I spoke louder. "Clear. Calm. Steady. Hello everyone. I know tonight was supposed to be magical. And it still is, just not in the way you expected." My mother's voice snapped from the dark. "Get off that stage." I ignored her. "I'm Mireya," I said. "The forgotten daughter. The hand-me-down girl. The extra seat." A hush swept the room. "I'm also the legal owner of this venue. The woman who froze the cards, cut the lights, and sent every vendor home." Gasps. "Why?" I continued. "Because I needed them to finally see, not me, but themselves. Who they are in the dark when no one's applauding." I looked at my mother, barely visible through the haze of phone lights. "I'm not your real daughter, remember?" And I smiled. Because sometimes, the cruelest truth is just holding up a mirror. The silence was thick. Not a word. Not a breath. Even the kids stopped fidgeting. I stood on that stage, their shame under soft spotlights of phone screens, and watched their faces change. From confusion, to disbelief, to something I'd never seen before. Fear. Camilla stumbled forward, mascara streaking down her cheek. "You planned this? All of this? You ruined my wedding." I stepped off the stage slowly, like descending from a place I no longer needed. "Ruined?" I whispered. "No. I gave you the truest version of it." Dad's fists clenched. "We took you in. We gave you a roof. You owe us." My voice didn't rise. It never needed to. "You didn't take me in. You tolerated me. There's a difference." People watched now. Not just the guest. The servers, the decorators, even the band waiting outside in the rain. And I said it. I was 9 when I found the adoption papers. 11 when I overheard Mom say, "We should have picked the other girl." 14 when you told Camilla to call me cousin in public. My mother opened her mouth, but for once, there was nothing inside it worth hearing. I turned to the crowd. "You know what they always taught me? Be small. Be quiet. Be grateful. For crumbs." I took a deep breath. Well, this is me ungrateful. Someone clapped. A single clap. Then until half the room was clapping, not loud, not wild, but slow, unsettled. Not for applause, but because the truth was impossible to ignore. Camilla sank to her knees, sobbing into the hem of her wedding dress. Mom sat down hard on a gold Chiavari chair, like her bones forgot how to carry secrets. And Dad? He looked at me like he was seeing a stranger. But I wasn't a stranger. I was the echo of every slammed door. The ghost of every birthday they skipped. The reflection they pretended wasn't there. I leaned in close to my sister. "You married into perfection tonight. But your story now begins in the dark." And then I turned. Walked back toward the staff hallway. The guests parted like waves. Some stunned, some nodding. Because in that moment, I wasn't the girl in hand-me-downs. I was the woman who rewrote the ending. I stepped outside into the midnight air. Rain had started, soft, whispering like the sky had been listening all along. It fell on my shoulders, but I didn't flinch. Behind me, the wedding unraveled in slow motion. Guests trickled out, heels in hand, suits soaked, whispering like they'd witnessed a funeral instead of a celebration. I stood beneath the venue's iron arch, the one Camilla had posted all over her Instagram with captions like, "My fairy tale begins here." Funny. It was never her fairy tale. It was mine. I just wrote a different ending. My phone buzzed. A text from my lawyer. Confirmed. Their accounts are frozen for 72 hours. No reversals. I smiled. I timed everything. Months of quiet work. Transferring the business into a shell name. Buying back the venue from the previous owners in cash. Canceling the backup generator hours before the ceremony. And yet, I never wanted to humiliate them. Not really. I just wanted one thing. To be seen. Not pitted. Not managed. But the funny thing about broken families is, they only notice you when you stop serving them. I stood there letting the rain soften me. For a moment I thought about leaving quietly. Just disappearing. But then I heard her. Camilla. Barefoot, dress soaked, voice trembling. Maria, please. I turned. She was alone now. No audience. No entourage. Just a girl who had mocked me, now stripped of sparkle. I didn't know Mom and Dad said that, she whispered. I didn't mean to hurt you. I tilted my head. Didn't mean to laugh? To humiliate me? To call me jealous in front of strangers? She wiped her face, mascara mixing with rain. I was scared. You've always been stronger than me. Even when they hated you, you stood tall. I stepped closer. No, I said. I just learned how to break quietly. You learned how to shine while others sank. She looked down. I don't want to lose you. I paused. And for the first time, I believed her. But belief doesn't erase history. Or the cracks we learned to decorate with silence. So I said gently, some bridges don't burn. They just collapse under weight we were never meant to carry. And then I walked away. By the time I got home, my shoes were soaked through. The apartment was quiet. No chandeliers. No speeches. No applause. Just me and peace. I changed out of the dress, that old lavender thing with the frayed hem. The one I almost didn't wear. And yet somehow, it had more power than all the glitter Camilla stitched herself into. I folded it gently, laid it on the bed. And then I sat. Let the silence stretch out like a long exhale. My hands were shaking. Not from fear, from release. I opened the scrapbook I hadn't touched in years. Photos of me at 10, 12, 16, always on the edge of the frame. Birthday cakes with someone else's name on them. Family vacations I wasn't invited to. In one photo, Camilla wore the same earrings she'd worn at the wedding. I remember watching her steal them from Mom's jewelry box. But they praised her for her sense of style. They scolded me for being ungrateful. I closed the book. My phone buzzed again, this time a voicemail from Dad. Whatever you think you've proven, this family doesn't reward tantrums. No, sorry. No, we didn't know. Just control, their only love language. I didn't save the message. I didn't cry. Instead, I walked to the kitchen drawer, pulled out the envelope I'd been holding onto for months. My adoption release papers. Signed. Ready. With one click, I scanned and sent them to my lawyer. Subject line, execute full separation. I wasn't just done with the wedding. I was done with them. Because revenge wasn't the moment the lights went out. It was the moment I finally turned mine on. I walked to the balcony. Rain still fell, gentler now. Like even the storm was exhaling. And somewhere in the dark, I imagined Camilla sitting in her hotel room, wiping off the last of her makeup, wondering how the girl in the corner became the one who rewrote the story. And I whispered to the sky, not bitter, not cruel, just honest. I don't need to be family to be free. 2 days later, their world crumbled. The hotel called first, card declined. The photographer paused edits, payment reversed. And the venue? Refund? Denied. My lawyer sent formal notices to each vendor with a single line. Due to contract violation, client privileges are void effective immediately. Camilla's Instagram went from glittering captions to complete silence. She didn't post the photos. Didn't share the bouquet toss. Because there was nothing left to share. No fairy tale ending, no shiny afterglow. And my parents? They finally saw what it meant to raise someone invisible. I received an email from Mom that afternoon. No subject line. Just a quiet plea. Maria. I didn't mean what I said. I was angry. You've always been one of us. Please don't do this. Please talk to me. I didn't reply. Because sometimes silence is louder than revenge. Instead, I took a train to the other side of the city. To a brownstone I bought last year. Quiet, sunlit mine. Inside. Fresh paint, clean walls, no ghosts. In the living room, a man waited. Michael. The only person who ever saw me when I was still learning how to see myself. He held 2 mugs of tea, eyebrows raised. Did you do it? He asked. I nodded. He didn't ask for details. Just opened his arms. And for the first time in years I let someone hold me without fear of being dropped. Later we sat at the window. He looked at me and whispered, "You finally ended it, didn't you?" "No," I replied, watching the sky shift to gold. "I didn't end it. I just stopped letting them write the chapters." He smiled. Not the kind of smile that asks for anything, just one that says I see you. I looked down at the final letter on my coffee table, a check made out to Camilla. The deposit she'd made for the venue. I didn't cash it. I didn't need it. But I would mail it back. With a note. From the girl in hand-me-downs. You can keep your glitter. Because real power isn't in punishment. It's in walking away with your head high, and their guilt chasing you like a shadow they can't shake. Was delivered the next morning. Camilla must have opened it alone. No cameras, no witnesses, no veil to hide behind. Just her, and the weight of everything unspoken. She didn't call. Didn't text. Didn't send some performative apology. Instead she sent me one thing. A photo. Us as little girls. Her in pink, me in blue, sitting on the back steps of our childhood home. I remembered that day. He had 2 scoops of ice cream. I had one. She offered me the second. It was the only time I ever felt like a sister. Under the photo she'd written, "I see it now. And I'm sorry it took this long." I didn't cry. Because healing doesn't always look like tears. Sometimes, it looks like closing the album for good. That evening I hosted a dinner at the venue. But this time it wasn't rented. It was mine, truly, quietly, completely. I invited no family. Just friends I'd built along the way. People who didn't care what blood ran through my veins, only the warmth I carried in my hands. The chandeliers glowed. The music played softly. Laughter filled the room like light flooding an old, locked attic. And for the first time, I belonged. Not because someone said I could, but because I chose to. Later that night, as everyone left, I stood alone in the ballroom. I looked around at the same walls that once held their celebration, and realized something. I wasn't angry anymore. They had taught me cruelty, yes. But they also taught me how to survive it. And then, to rise above it. My story wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming the parts of me they tried to shame into silence. I walked to the center of the room. No lights cut out this time. No drama. Just me. Standing tall. In my own name. Maria. Daughter of no one. But finally woman of everything.